This is Ladey from Keep Unfrozen Ministries, and it's just a joy to be able to come and do a broadcast for you on a monthly basis, or it is monthly during the summer at least. Where do you go when you really need comfort? Who do you turn to when you are in great need? I mean, these are questions that we all have to answer. And it is quite natural for Christians to turn to God when they are in need. It's quite natural for those who aren't Christians to call on God when they are in deep need. And what sort of need is it? Where do they need the full comfort or succor? I always get at least one word wrong in the first minute. Succor. S-U-C-C-O-U-R in the English, without the U in the American thing. What does that really mean? Well, it's a great word, a word from the Middle Ages, and it means to run to get help. Run to when you need relief, support, sustenance. Who else is there? When times are hard and you're at a crisis point, who do you run to? When you're devastated by whatever life has thrown at you, who do you run to? When times are good and when you're high on success, who do you tell them about? When you're busy with achievements and goals, who do you run to? And when you're feeling fragile and hurt and confused and upset, bereaved, who do you run to? Who do you turn to? Who provides that succor that you desperately need? Who gives you comfort when the extremes of life are so hard you don't know what to do or where to go? I have 3 friends who have lost their life partners, their spouses, their lovers and best friends in this past year. My heart is sad for them and for the loss of the wonderful men and women that they have lost, but we know they are with God, and we know because they were people of faith that God was there welcoming them in. And yes, that is a comfort. It's a great comfort for those left behind, and it is their faith that holds on to it as they turn to God for peace. My heart is sad for them and the loss of these wonderful men and women in our own lives. But we know they are with Jesus. They may no longer be in our world. We can no longer talk with them directly, hug them, or in the case of my friend Alan, no longer play saxophone with. I thank God for the time they've had with us, for the memories they leave behind, and for the individual and unique legacies that they give everyone that they've been in contact with throughout their lives. But what of my grieving friends? How do they cope? How can others or I support them? Well, there seems to be a crisis time in the process of bereavement. The initial shock and grief where everybody gathers around and the phone rings constantly. People at church just flock to that person to hug them, love on them, and just, be there. But as a few weeks go by, the interests of others are just caught up with their own lives, and it dissipates until only a core of close friends remain to give that comfort and succor. I mean, this is quite a natural thing. It might seem a bit callous at times, all that attention, then nothing. But actually, it's just the way we are. But God doesn't leave us. His love is just sustaining. And he is just so constant that it's not this rise and fall. It's just, he is there. And it's just wonderful to know he's there for both. The person who's died is actually with him, and the person who hasn't died and is having to survive without their loved ones still gets that same love from God. I mean, it just blows my mind. It is just absolutely amazing. All 3 of my friends did something which is quite incredible. Within days of their husband and wife dying, they were in church. They were in church worshipping their God. And people sort of said to them, well, I didn't expect you to be here so soon. Why are you here? And it's as though they expected them to huddle up at home, in a corner, just being quiet or crying, but certainly not within a couple of days being at church. But each of those friends replied in exactly the same way, with the response, where else would I go? Where else would I go? Now that reminded me of the story when Mary and Joseph lost Jesus. You may remember it. Luke 2:43-49 tells the story. But basically, they were in a whole group. They'd gone to the temple, they'd gone to a festival, and they were going home, and they thought Jesus was with the whole crowd, but he wasn't. They had left him behind. So frantically, they went back to Jerusalem. They went back to find out where he was and was he safe. And they finally found him in the temple. He was talking to the teachers, talking about his father, being with his father. Doesn't tell us where he slept or where, how he ate or anything, but he obviously was being taken care of. And he was taking care of others. But people were amazed at the kind of things he was saying and the questions he was asked. But the two parents, Mary and Joseph, they didn't know this. And they'd had a horrible time from the moment they realised he no longer was with them to the time when they found him. And Mary said, where have you been? We've been searching for you. We've been frantically searching for you. And Jesus replied, why did you need to search? Didn't you know I had to be in my Father's house? Now that's been prayed on and actually used in sermons time and time again. But for my friends who have just been bereaved, they said, where else would I be but in my Father's house? Where else? In the hardest time of their lives, in the shock of it, where else could they be but a place where they knew they'd be loved, a place where they could really feel God, Holy Spirit and Jesus being there for them. So alongside the other people who love God with all their hearts, they know the comfort of Holy Spirit and the need for the family, the church family, to reach out and give special love to them as well. Church family who can gather to give support and love and administer God's love are great, though paradoxically it's often the bereaved who end up having to comfort those around them, assuring them that they're okay and in this case, showing the love of God in a different way on how they handle the death of the person that has been so close to them. Going to church or the temple in Jesus' time was significant when you're hurting. It is the place to go, the place. That God can minister to you anywhere. It is a very special place. Because not only are you receiving from him, you're worshipping him. Worshipping God in the most difficult time that you will ever have. And allowing Holy Spirit to comfort and give peace. The faith of my friends, Nicola, Sarah and Stuart, is a huge witness to others. As they draw on God, they also show to others how they rely on him. I thank them for their example and know that their life partners, Alan, Guy and Jackie, though greatly missed, want them to use their passing for God's glory. I only hope I'll be brave enough as and when the time comes. Lady AD, keep unfrozen.